Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here, and an update. We're back from vacation. I'm back from vacation. It is Sunday evening, and we're going to go into July 31st, the last day of the month. That's going to be exciting. I was happy to get back to work. I was at the office all day today doing some research and actually getting the latest HPS watch list out. And if you're not familiar with the HPS watch list, it is what makes us money every week. It is a group of stocks that are setting up on a very strict criteria, ready to move, the biggest move in the shortest amount of time. That's what it's about. And so I'm going to do a little update here just to let you know we'll be back on the air full time. I'll be back on the air full time starting tomorrow morning. So come on by Day Trading Radio. Check out the show. It'll get on. It'll get going around 8:30. We take it all the way to the close, and usually a little bit later. And we got a lot of things planned for you this week. So looking forward to that. Just a look at the markets now. For the last few months, we've been just talking about the strength of the market and not expecting too much of a pullback, and go as far as saying that we might not see the pullbacks might get smaller and smaller. Now we had a couple interesting things setting up here. Let me turn off this phone. I'm getting text here. We had a pretty decent. Let me get this. A nice little candle on Thursday, Friday. We a very slow and grindy day. If we take a look at that 5-minute chart, not much going off. I'm going to make it short and sweet this video. We actually kind of gapped down and slowly moved back up, and pretty much a flat day on Friday. Thursday we did have some selling when we came back. Overall, I would say I have a little negative bias, even though I do think this market has the potential of going much higher and will go much higher. But we want to time the certain time little moves here. So you can actually see there's two big 60-minute candles that broke down, and we kind of drifted back up. We're going to look at this around 24.75. I'm not even going to pay attention to the top of that level up here at 24.75. I want to more look at, it's only give or take 5 points, so we're very close. But let's just actually concentrate on Friday's high. Well, actually, the closing bar on Friday at 24.73. Futures are down right now overnight. S&P futures off are 2.25, and not much going on. It's the dog days of summer, but the money is still flowing in. Now, when I talk about that, we have a great methodology to high probability setups. Really pinpoint some really good setups. So I got a whole list of those out for this week coming up. But just remember this 60-minute candle, two big 60-minute candles and a slow grind back up, has the appearance of a slightly bearish flag. I'm not going to be too concerned with it, but I am leaning towards maybe a little pullback here, and we'll watch it. We'll be ready for it if it happens. Now I do have some longs today, or going into this week. And we're going to be taking the profits. So let's just talk about some of the great setups last week so you get a little education with this video. Now, last week, or the week before, last week I was on vacation. The week before, we went into this vacation week with the divergence in the oil and gas sector, and that has played out perfectly. A couple of the great setups we had was ConocoPhillips. And you can see the nice divergence and a nice move. And, it's a classic. It's just a classic setup here. Even back here, we had a nice divergence, a big pop. And right here, when we have a channel and we have a divergence, we predict that channel breakout, and it gives us a much bigger move. So that was awesome. We're going to be taking profits in Tractor Supply Company tomorrow. I'd like to get, that looks like it was an earnings play on last Thursday. It had a nice little pop. And then I have a list of, even though I did put out the HPS watch list, I have about 15 more I'm going to discuss tomorrow with everyone. And there is 1, 2, 3 shorts on the list going into, and one of the shorts is McDonald's, MCD, Mickey D's. So let's just take a look at that. I'm just going to throw you out a short of Mickey D's. It's a gap up, slow pullback. We've been seeing great divergence, actually buy signals when we have a gap down and then a reversal. And I just off the top of my head, I remember we had a nice little gap down on Harley Davidson and a move back up. got a lot of them. I mean, just to pull them off the top of my head, that was a good one. There was a couple other ones that we had to gap down and to move back up. But we do have that situation where we're actually seeing some gap ups and to move back down. Now, lots of times we like to close that gap, but because of the relative weakness here, we have this low. We're going to call this we're going to actually call this a high here, and we're actually going to call this a higher high. And you can see that, and we're actually starting to turn back over here. Now, I don't. That must have been. That was also an earnings play, and we're actually starting to turn back down. So this could be a decent top here on McDonald's for a short-term time frame, and we're talking short-term, maybe a week or 2 weeks. A nice little pullback, maybe we get a bounce. But I think overall this divergence would set up pretty good with a 160 and change stop up here just to take it. You know, that's a pretty decent signal right there on that short side. I'll give you another one. State Street Bank. I'm not a big fan of shorting the banks, but here it is again. Here we have this negative divergence, a higher high, gap up, and a pullback, and we're starting to lose it here. So these could be actually good reversals. These things moved up since July. There's good underlying trend lines underneath us. There's a lot of levels underneath that we could come back and still be very healthy in this stock. So I am looking for a pullback in the State Street, and I have some other ones we'll discuss tomorrow morning. It's a little teaser for Monday morning. Also, I'm adding on the HPS watch list video, which goes out every Friday. Like I said, I was on vacation until this Sunday afternoon and just got that out. But I want to start doing some reviews on the Bitcoin chart. Now, the Bitcoin chart, you know, just a fantastic vehicle these days. I mean, it's trading up close to $3,000, and we've been following it, not really, you know, doing much with it. But you know, the hype behind it and the technology behind it and everything else about the future of where commerce is going and electronic currency, it just seems like a no-brainer. We need to start following that. So I'll be doing a segment on the chart there and just overlaying our HPS criteria and kind of tell you when Bitcoin might be setting up in an HPS setup. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to spot those. It's a newer, I like to call a trading vehicle, but we're going to start to follow it, and you know, kind of, I'll make remarks on it every week, every Friday. That'll go out with the HPS watch list. So, great. NLSN, another one we'll be taking profits on. This was a textbook divergence channel, and when you have a channel and the divergence in a channel, in this case we had a kind of a triple divergence. It's actually a running divergence. You can see this low and this lower low, but this is a higher low, and we had this really just one of the better divergences. And I've been kind of banging the table on this one, saying that not many people pay attention to Nielsen, this rating company, but it is a quality name, and the pattern alone is something to respect. And now, as you can see, the explosive move out of this, we should get some follow-through. I mean, to take profits on this is easy enough. Do you want to gamble and hold it a little bit higher? You know what? This is a stock that you could do that with. I think there's bigger and better things for this one. All right. So that one, very, very possibly will be taking that off tomorrow. Now I have some new ones. Again, like I said, there's some new ones. The KMB was another one of our great divergence setups, and this is actually starting to set up for this week. So you'll see this in focus for this week. Focus for this week. RRC, a couple other ones, but the majority of them I'm going to continue to keep on the HPS watch list. And if you need that, just go to DayTraderRockStar.com. Check out all the benefits of becoming a member, and we'll take it from there. So that's about it. I just want to touch base saying I am back. I don't know. Paul was on the air for the week, but I'm excited to be back with you, and we have some good things coming up. So that's it. So I'll see everyone tomorrow morning. Right now, currently, futures are off a little, just off 2 1/4. It's a dog days of summer, starting August 1st, but things should start getting a little interesting. Now, we have like I said, I wanted to do a little segment on Bitcoin, and I'm just going to run through it. And I remember looking at it before on the HPS watch list and kind of talking about it, but I didn't really go into detail on that. So let me bring that up. All right, so here's your Bitcoin chart, and I get this chart from TradingView. It's a great little trading platform if you want to check it out, tradingview.com, and they give you real-time Bitcoin charts, which is, they're very actively traded. And now this is the daily chart, and you could go back here just a few months and see this thing here has rocketed up. If we go back to April, the beginning of April, and we could see that it was trading about $1,000, and now it's close to $3,000. Very close to it. Almost got up to $3,000. So, a big, beautiful move in this. And people are saying, well, how do I even trade the Bitcoin? Well, there's different ways of doing that, but it doesn't happen through your typical broker. Now, one way I will show you, because we do a lot of trading and trade the stock market, there is a couple Bitcoin funds that you can trade. And I want to go over those also during this video. But right now, we're just going to break down the video right now and actually break down the chart and just see this nice move. And this has been very volatile. I mean, this is a volatile trade, but we want to be able to identify key areas in the chart where we could go long or go short, or trade the trade the vehicles that track the Bitcoin. You can see this nice little pullback, some big candles. We pay attention to the candles and they'll follow through, and just big moves here. We're going to actually drag this. I want to make a parallel. Let's see if I can make a copy of that line right there. If I could even do that. Where's my, you know what? Let's do it over here. I apologize. Parallel channel here. Now I'm just going to drag that here. I want to drag that down here. Now this is kind of a sloppy, very sloppy channel, because it did extend through it, push back up, it came back down to it. But now we're going to just look at it as a channel breakout and the trend to continue. And so we have this big, powerful move up and a consolidation above the 20-period moving average, which is a great sign of strength. Now we know that this is a new, comparable to the overall market and stocks and stuff. This is really a new way of trading. And one thing that I like to apply is a stochastic oscillator to it. And as you can see, the oversold levels, they don't happen too often, which is a case of a very bullish trending stock. So every time it was oversold, it did actually rally from that point on. In this case, we actually had a double bottom, maybe even a little divergence back here, a nice pullback. But the overall tendency was a rotation back up when the stochastics rotated back up. Now, it's not the best setups like we see in our stock setups. The next time frame I want to look at is the 60-minute time frame, because that's going to give us a little better look at it. And as you can see, that little better look, this pullback now can be identified like that. Now let's take a look at that. There's your big channel breakout, and now we're in a smaller channel breakout. So these patterns continue to play out, but they're on different time frames, and that's what's great about technical analysis. You'll find repeating patterns, but on different time frames. You can trade them the same way. The strategy is usually the same. So we could see that 60-minute time frame getting oversold, and then a bounce, and not really rotating all the way back up. So we're not seeing full complete rotation, but when we do, it does rotate back down. In this case, we didn't come all the way back down, but we did get all extended here, and now it's rotated back down. Now what we can see here is this little consolidation. It's held that 20-period moving average, but we've made a fast rotation. Now normally when I'm trading stocks, this setup is a great setup. It is a sign of strength. Especially if you make a fast rotation back down into an oversold level, get back down into that 20 level, and this holds the 20-period moving average. On our stock setups, this is called a triple stochastic bullish flag. So that's where we're gonna look at this as more of a bullish flag set up with a rotation here on the 60-minute time frame. I prefer to see this on the daily, but because it's on the 60, I want to point it out to you. We'll follow. We're not trading this actively right now. We're going to discuss that in a second. So right now, the short-term time frame or the 60-minute time frame is slightly bullish. The daily, going to be a hard call on that. The daily seems to have gotten extended, pushed back, bounced, chopped around. Not willing to make a call on that. The 60 is a little bit cleaner. Looks like a little pop maybe possible. Now let's take a look at that 5-minute chart for those out there who really want to get down and dirty on this stock right here. And you can see the time here, a little after 11 o'clock. And that's right up to date, right up to the time frame. So our 5-minute here, this is what we want to look at. We want to see how divergences start to play out and if they work as good on the Bitcoin. And the truth is, I've been glancing at these over the last couple months just to see if there has been any outstanding divergences or any difference between that lower low or that double bottom and the higher low. In this case, we could look back here. See if I get some of my lines here. Get used to this charting program. But you can see a little slight divergence here. And not really we'll call it a double bottom right there. And a nice move off of that. And when we talk about nice move, it is a nice move. I mean, it's 2,600, we'll call it 2,700 to 2,700. So 2,700 to about 27.74, and that's on the 5-minute time frame. So a 70-point move in a matter of we're talking an hour maybe. And then we pulled back. We got extended here, chopped around, and right down here we're starting to actually see maybe another potential divergence. But you can see how fast that rotation rotated back up, and then we failed to get any further, so we rotated back down. And that's important to pay attention to that little oscillator here. If it gets overbought, you have to know. So right now I am not counting on the stochastic oscillator to give us any timing on the Bitcoin yet. That can happen down the road, and when it does, we'll be all over it. But right now it is not an effective I wouldn't say it's an effective indicator as well as when we trade the other stocks, even ExxonMobil or ConocoPhillips or ADM and anything else. I mean, those are textbook divergences when we have them. I don't even know why I put it on that screen there. But let's talk about the Bitcoin and how to trade the Bitcoin. Now we talked about let's bring that chart one more time back up. All right, so here it is. We're going to go back to the daily chart, and that's what we call it, the one-day chart. Now you can see the nice move here from April. We'll call it April 1st to June, sometime in June. This is a tremendous 300% move, just about a big move on that. And then we had a nice pullback from basically the mid-June all the way into mid-July. For about a month we pulled back, and then when we got oversold, we exploded out of there, almost took out the highs again, and now, so we had two big moves. We had a big move of March, April, May, June, nice pullback here, June, July, and a little pop in the end of July, and that's where we are right now. Now, how do we take effect? How do you trade that? Well, here's a couple of ways to trade in that using some tradable funds. So we're going to just put in BIC, Bitcoin. The best way to remember it, just put it in. I'm using the TC2000 platform right now, and we have the GBTC. Now this one is supposed to replicate it's supposed to follow the price of Bitcoin. So you can actually see from April to May it had a nice move, probably about 300% move, and then a nice pullback and a little bounce. So this is kind of an effective stock. You're not paying $3,000 to trade it, but you don't have to, there's other ways to trade in the Bitcoin that you don't have to go through and buy it. Like, it's not like a share here. But if you have an we'll say a everyday stock account, these are certain ways you can actually trade this. So if you lay that over, you could see pretty much something very similar. The move up here from April, big move up, the pullback, the bounce, that was here, then a further pullback going into July 17th, which is right here, and then a big spike higher from this point on, from 1898 to wherever we are. Yeah. So that was a nice move here. Almost 1800 to 2000. That's 200 to 2468. This is a nice move. Almost 1,000-point move in Bitcoin, and this is less than a month. Now, you could also see it's more, a nice move here, 300 to 420. That's a nice move in itself. Now, that's one way of looking at Bitcoin. Let's take a look at another one. Now, this one's an interesting one. I have everyone interested in this one. Doesn't give you the exact same. And there's some other ones here we want to pay attention to, but we're going to look at this one right here. This is a pink sheet. We got to remember, these are a little bit more dangerous. They're pink sheets. Here's a 7-cent Bitcoin services. Again, very similar in the chart formation. Pop up here, pull back, a little move up. Now that little move up here, that really went from 1800 to 2000, 2800, 1,000-point move. Let me bring it over here. Really represented not much, but enough to get about a 60% move on BTS SC. 60% move. I mean, it's not much. We're talking about a 5-cent stock, and I don't even go there. But and this is not the one I really want to point out to you, but it is just to say you have a tremendous move in Bitcoin. These are going to ride the coattail. Now there's one more. I think it's a little bit between the Bitcoin and the let's see here, bring it up. It's between the GBTC, which is going for 400 and change. This one is going for 7 cents. And now we're going to take a look at this one. This is the First Bitcoin Capital Corp. And this was at 37 cents. And again, very similar. It's a pretty similar chart. The big move is really, is right here in May to April. And then the big pullback. And it's volatile. But overall, you're going to get a directional move with the Bitcoin overall. And to give you an idea of how these things trade or what they're meant to do, we're going to go back. We'll bring up some information for you on them. Now, here's a little description. First Bitcoin, this is the one that's trading at 37 cents and stuff. But, very suspect. Very, very suspect. When you trade in on a pig sheet and you're trading at that price, that is a penny stock. That is taking a gamble. Any way you look at it. First Bitcoin Capital Group engaged in developing digital currencies, blockchain technologies, and digital currency exchanges. The company developed digital cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies. It owns and operates various digital assets, including CoinQX.com, cryptocurrency exchange, iCoinNews.com, a real-time cryptocurrency and Bitcoin news site, and Bitminer.cc, which provides mining pool management services. Though what's the big red flag here? Look at this. The company was formerly known as Grand Panorama Gold Corporation. So I guess if it's not working with gold, go with what's hot. And change its name to First Bitcoin, February 2014. First Bitcoin Capital Corp is based in Vancouver, and Canadian too. So, I'm not planning on trading this. I'm not getting into this, but wanted to bring it to your attention. It is a one way of actually trading Bitcoin, or attempting to follow the action on that. All right, one more look at the GBTC, the Bitcoin Investment Trust. And we'll take a look at some of the descriptive nature of that. Again, $420. Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Fund exclusively holds Bitcoin. GBTC shares represent a bit less than 1/10 of a Bitcoin. That's 0.093200637 Bitcoins per share, according to the last quarterly report. An annual 2% fee is paid to the sponsor of the trust, which erodes share value. But in this case, it's acting pretty good. The value of GBTC implicitly depends on the securities Zappo's IT system and the handling of the trust Bitcoin. Again, everything is a kind of a gamble when it comes to this. I was looking at some of the other financials on this company, and it's just very hard to find any good information. But in this case, as of this writing, the guy was doing a comparison of Bitcoin and the GBTCs, and Bitcoin was up 7%, while this fund was up 38%. And sometimes you're going to have the opposite effect. Very hard to gauge that. But this is what I meant to do with this video, is just to kind of show you some other options if you want to follow the Bitcoin trade. Again, $420. I don't know if I don't see myself doing that. I was more interested in the other one, the BITCF. But this actually is starting to look a little cheesy in itself. So I just passing on some interesting facts, and we'll see you in the market. Again, I'll be broadcasting tomorrow, bright and early. We'll be doing some updates on this if there's anything spectacular happen. One last thing I wanted to mention. Two big events going on, and that's why oil stocks probably will still be in focus. OIH, the oil service sector here, gave us a great divergence. It popped up here to 50. Just as expected, we got a rotation back down, and now it seems to be holding here. Not bad. This actually has a shot of pushing back up. Now there is an issue going on in Venezuela. We'll know that they are having a major upheaval in the political process, so much as a dictator trying to take over. This could affect the oil. I believe we get 10% of our oil from Venezuela. So if there is anything that comes out of this, we could see a spike in oil prices, and this would be beneficial to some of these oil companies. And with the divergence set up here, the opposite could lend out itself too. So one way of looking at it that way. The other thing is the Korean missiles continue to be launched, and how far is this going to go? So there is two things that will stop the music. If I would say the Korean situation would be a definite one where you want to sit down in your chair if that happens. It'll be exciting. Bring action back into the market. We want to be ready for it. We'll maybe do another video on how to prepare for that. There is actually a couple Korean stocks that you could actually maybe even possibly short if you think something's going to come of this. But that we'll get that out next later this week, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you in the morning, which we'll probably get this in the morning because it's almost 12 o'clock at night. Have a great one, everyone.